All righty, folks, let's get this meeting started for our second meeting in January, and this is January 21st, 2025. Ooh, that's scary. I was always wondering when I was in high school, 2000, year 2000, I'll be an old man. And I'm thinking, I'm not that old. All right, folks, let's get started. Ms. Silva, would you be so kind as to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mary, could we please have roll call?
Mayor Pro Tem Liz Silva,
Present.
Councilmember Scott Funk,
Present.
Councilmember Lorraine Worthy,
Present.
Councilmember Maria Orozco,
Present.
and Mayor Jose Rios.
Present. Moving on, we have two presentations this afternoon. One is a community center update. Who I'm assuming Mr. Dobbins, is that you, sir?
Correct. Yes. Good evening, Mayor Rios, council members. We've got the construction manager, Luis Flores, and Ron and Kim from Auto Construction to provide you update. And the slide deck is from is in your packet. And turning it over to Luis.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. So again, I'm Luis Flores. I'm the construction manager representing the city of Gonzales. And here are Kim and Ron with Auto Construction, senior project manager and superintendent. And we're going to be giving you status update on the project. The last time we came was in November. And so we're just going to give you some highlights of some of the work that's been going on over the last couple of months. And then in general, give you an overview of schedule and other milestones that are forthcoming. You can see on the our agenda, we'll give you a status update, a schedule update, project and construction management update, and then we'll talk a little bit about upcoming community engagement activities that we have planned for the local community, specifically the GYC. Turn it over, Ron.
Good evening, everybody. Again, construction update, milestones completed to date, underground utilities, storm, sewer, and water, TPO roofing installation, mechanical and electrical, plumbing and fire sprinkler roofing. And then we have interior insulation and drywall in progress. Again, exterior improvements are in progress. Some of the photos that you can see here in the upper left, we have the courtyard area looking from building B toward building A. From in the middle, we have the west elevation on the right-hand side. We're looking at the prominent corner of the building. Also on the lower left, same. From across the street, you can see the building from the front. And then again, this is looking from the courtyard back at building A. Parking improvements taking place. We had a crane pick bringing the roofing materials as well as the HVAC equipment. Out front, we have the bus flat as well as the sidewalk finished up. And then on the bottom left, you see we have priority drywall taking place to allow for mechanical and electrical to take place. And then bottom photos, just framing and ductwork going in, and more priority drywall on the lower right. To try to walk you through some of the activities that take place during this time lapse. Again, we got in, got graded, demoed out, moving right into underground utility work. So lots of dirt moving. We're actually excavating for the pad at this point. So we can move right into pad preparation. Base rock goes down. We have a paver barrier that goes on after our footing placement that's coming up right now. So we have fire water going in, and as you can see, lots of activity on the site during this time frame. We just placed our footings, looking to get our slab placed and formed. So that's formed. Placement just took place, and we move right into the framing activities. At this time, we're also able to start our approach coming onto the job site and working our parking area that had gotten based out. Multiple electrical activities taking place, running conduits out to EV parking and building B location. Framing starts to take place. And then we start getting the roofing activities going as well. Trailer shows up with ductwork. That starts going in. We do our topping out ceremony. So during this time frame, really working on the inside to get through rough activities. And then we move into roofing activities. So the TPO is going on. We have waterproofing taking place for the ephes. Scaffolding's going up. And we have a crane pick here in a minute. So we're starting to spread a lot of our roofing materials and get that installed, as well as opening flashings, getting ready for windows and doors. So we can start our finish work. We've paved, both the parking lot and the drive aisle was paved, and we worked on getting some of the patch paving completed out on Fifth. Fire retention swells, as you can see, we started working on grading at the interior courtyard areas as the walks start taking shape.
Hi, good evening, everybody. So just to kind of touch on some of our schedule, our upcoming milestones, we're looking to get our building weather tight. So we'll have it fully enclosed by mid-February. And moving into late summer, we'll have our landscaping all substantially completed. With PG&E, we'll get our permanent power by end of October. And we are moving right on track for substantial completion by mid-November. So just some of the challenges that our team has been able to work through and mitigate is just getting through weather. We were lucky enough to not get hit super hard this year. So that was really great, allowed us to keep on moving. And then as always, we just track our supply chain and any long lead items, and then just our regular time period with PG&E permanent power.
All righty. And again, on the project management front, in addition to serving as the city's own representative, I also assist with project management activities on the project. So Harris, we provide project management document control through Newforma. So that's where we track and manage all of our various plans, RFIs, submittals. I lead our internal weekly project meetings with the city, with Otto, and the design team. And then I monitor all of our project expenditures, track all the financials, our grants, private contributions, USDA funding, making sure that all of the funding reporting is up to date, and making sure that obviously construction is continuing to move flawlessly. And then I also provide daily, monthly, and quarterly reports for the city, and as required by the different grants. These are some of the updates that have happened throughout the whole project, not since the last time we met, but so overall, we've had 31 meetings. Again, these are very productive meetings where we collaborate. One of the key things about this project is a collaborative team effort that we have with Otto and the design team and with the city. And so we're always working together to work through any challenges that come up and come up with the best solution that gives the city the best product. PCOs, so far to date, I've reviewed 21 PCOs, and so those are all being tracked within the current approved budget. RFIs and submittals, those are design challenges, field conditions, things that come up during the project. So we've so far had 86 RFIs process where we've worked through some of these challenges. Submittals, these are technical documents that represent the proposed products that are going to be installed, construction materials, shop drawings, and anything installed in the project gets formally submitted so that the city and the design team know exactly what is being provided, and it's all well documented. So we have 232 submittals to date, and there's more to come still. Inspections, so again, working collaboratively with Otto, working through scheduling all the required inspections to make sure that fire, building, and underground utilities are all being inspected and documented. Monthly progress payment requests. So in addition to looking at all the invoices for other subconsultants that the city has on the project, I work on reviewing the monthly progress payments every month. So far we have 17 pay applications that have been submitted to date. And then a couple other things. One of my colleagues does labor compliance monitoring to make sure that we're all following the proper labor code requirements for the project.
All right, now I get to talk about the fun stuff. So one of our favorite things on this project is the amount of community engagement we've been able to do since the beginning. So one of our engagements is directly with the GYC. And so there are some photos of them down at the bottom. They came and they did site visits. We've had different engagement sessions with them to find out what they are interested in, how we can design the building to fit their needs. And in the bottom left-hand corner, we recently had a sit test where they were able to sit on some of the furniture that's going to be in the building and tell us what they like and what they don't like and how it'll suit their needs. And all that gets taken into consideration with the architect for final decision. We do have a second site visit that will happen inside of the building. So that's coming up in February, where they can actually see the furniture in the space to get a better idea of how it fits the space and how they can utilize it. And in addition, we're working with the high school as well for any of their local career days, offering them site visits so that any of their CTE type classrooms can come in and talk with us about, potential careers or just to get information on what we're doing and how we do it.
Before we jump into questions, one thing I'll mention is the next project milestone, and Ron touched on it, is the building dry-in milestone. So that's projected for mid-February. And so we're going to be providing the city with a couple of dates so that we can schedule a site visit for the city council, local community, and also the project donors, similar to what we did with the beam signing ceremony. So we'll host another event where you can all come and check out the progress and have an opportunity to maybe sign one of the walls before some of the exterior finishes go up. So that'll be likely sometime in towards the end of February. And so we'll solidify a date and communicate it to the city.
Great. Thanks, Luis.
Thank
Ron,
you.
And Kim. I just want to highlight that, in my opinion, one of the real attributes as to why this is such a great project in delivery is for the council to have selected at staff's recommendation, the design build delivery. And I think that's really added as I think Ron mentioned, the collaborative nature that came out of that comes out of the design build contracting instead of just the traditional design, bid, and then construct. And so that's our presentation. What out of last council meeting, one of my takeaways was where we come before you with this kind of presentation every other month is I'll make sure that there's monthly updates in your council packet. In addition to these bi-monthly presentations. So that's it on this item.
Okay.
Miss-
Happy to answer any questions.
I'd like to just add one more thing. Luis didn't touch on it, but we are also considering how the community could potentially buy a brick or what it would be. We're doing some cost benefit analysis to see what would make the most sense. And then we'll be coming forward with more information on that soon.
Any questions from council for?
No, I just have a comment. I really appreciate the fact that our students are very involved in, the Teen Innovation Center, because after all, it's their center and this is where they're going to spend a lot of time. So for them to be able to participate and sit in those chairs and have an opinion on what they'd like is valuable. So thank you for that.
Anything else from council? No, we'll go ahead and,
Wait a minute.
go ahead,
Yeah, I do. I have a question.
go ahead.
Okay, you mentioned something about potential issues with supply chain. Is that something that you anticipate
So
being an issue? I mean, I know it's always an issue.
yeah,
but-
no, so at the beginning of the project, right, we did a risk analysis to figure out, all right, what are the major, risks that the project has, and supply chain was one of them. And so the way we've managed it, right, we identified anything with a long lead item at the beginning of the project so that we had enough time to procure it. The reason why it's listed on there was as a potential challenge to the project. The only real challenge that we will have with supply chain is the switchgear for the project. And so that had a lead time of 65 weeks from when we ordered it, which was at the beginning of the project back in June. And so we won't have the switchgear right now. It's estimated to arrive towards the end of July of this year. And so that's really the only long lead item that does have, an impact on schedule. But again, based on that delivery and how the work is progressing, we're still projected to complete according to the schedule.
So you really have to anticipate that far in advance. That's
Yeah.
65 weeks is a long time. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
I just have a quick,
Great job.
that's over a year.
Go ahead, Liz, you have another.
I just had a quick comment, and that is to thank all of the staff that's been involved. Because I drive by once in a while and I'll take my little update pictures, and they have all been very receptive. And the other day, when they have to kind of move the traffic a little bit like a snake, they're all very professional. And as I drive by, I make sure I give them the thumbs up, because maybe they don't always hear from us. They'll hear from you all, but just let them know that it is appreciated, I think, by the community, that they are very much appreciated, and they do take everybody's safety into consideration, and I thank them.
Thank you. And we'll let them know.
Thank you. Alrighty, moving on to the next presentation, and it's city water sewer operations update, and I'm assuming that is again, Mr. Dobbins.
Yes. Thanks, Mayor Rios,
You're
council
welcome.
members. This is an overview of the operations and maintenance of the city's water sewer system. I'm going to speak to the first couple slides, and then Tiffany Twisselman, our public works supervisor, will speak to the rest of the slides. So next slide. Okay, so just wanted to basically mention, and you can see it on the slide that, yeah, we're a full service city. I kind of chuckle when I hear somebody like King City or the city of Marina or city of Salinas say we're full service, and it's like, no, you're not. You don't provide water, or maybe you don't do sewer treatment or something else. So we are absolutely a full service city. And you can see the list. Yes, well, you have to throw some shade at them when they say that kind of stuff. So you can see the list, civic buildings, parks, roads, and then the bottom two of the water and sewer system. So then on the right, I wanted to list the public works staff, and then where we've got, director, supervisor, on, and 6 field staff. And so one thing to really highlight here is, but it's not 100% attendance because folks are either training or on vacation. And actually we have a field staff person right now on a jury duty, and he's going to be on that jury for several weeks, as our understanding. So he's been out. So while we can list these staff, we're not always at 100% staff. And next slide, please. So overview of the water. We provide water to every residential property, commercial property, industrial property in the city. We've got 4 groundwater wells. That's the source of water. We're in a really good spot in the valley because of where we are. What is it? It's the forebay, but the groundwater is charged by water releases from the Nacimiento Dam, the Salinas River, so on and so forth. So, the city of Gonzales, the city of Soledad, we're in a very good place for groundwater supply. The only third bullet is the only water treatment is chlorine that's provided at the wellhead. So as it's produced and then is discharged into the water distribution pipe system that we have. I'm sure the council's familiar that the storage is 3 tanks east of town. We've got a 1 million gallon tank and then 2 3 million gallon tanks. So that's a fair amount of storage at 7 million gallons. But and Tiffany's going to touch on it, that the processing facilities in the business park use a lot of water. Okay. And then, the last bullet I just wanted to highlight, we're 1 pressure zone. As the city grows to the east, we'll be looking at a 2nd pressure zone. That'll be probably halfway through the Vista Lucia project. So quite a ways into the future, but just wanted to highlight 1 pressure zone. Next slide. Tiffany, take it away.
Okay. So our water system operates under permit from the State Water Resource Control Board. We have 1 D2 operator, which is what our system is permitted at. We have a D1 and we have 3 people studying at this time to take their D1 and 4 people and somebody who's going to take their D2. So we're trying to really push people coming up in their careers and becoming operators. We need to have more operators in our system. Water quality. Our testing is done by Monterey County Health Department. They come down weekly. They do all our testing weekly, monthly, biannually, and annually. I get their results immediately when they're processed via email, and then they mail them to me. We do a lot of testing. We also have lead and copper testing, which we do triannually. We just did it this last year, and we also had to do, the EPA required us to do a lead and copper inventory, which is very cumbersome. I've just gotten response back from that, and there's some more work to be done too. But that's one of the letters that went out to the community talking about lead and copper, which we've tried to highlight in past flyers because it's the EPA is pushing it as a big thing. We haven't had any problems with our water, so that's good, but we still have to go through the process.
Tiffany,
Then
can you elaborate how staff takes residual tests on a daily and then the county?
that's coming up.
Oh,
Yeah, this is all for water quality testing. So we also, all our testing that we do throughout the year gets condensed and put into our consumer confidence report. So anything that's relevant to the residents, that's goes into our consumer confidence report, which comes out late June, early July every year. It's sent out in all utility bills, and it's also available at City Hall and on our website. So that's a good way to report. I'm not sure if a lot of people understand what it is, but it's really a snapshot of what our water system is doing. So operations and maintenance for water, 7 days a week, we make rounds. The on-call person takes care of it on holidays and weekends. Those rounds are making sure that there's a residual in the system, making sure that the chlorine pumps are working at the wells. There's no airlocks, no pin leaks, anything like that, because you can show up to a well and find that there's no chlorine going in because it's airlocked. So first thing in the morning, that's the priority, to get out and check the residuals. Make sure the residuals extend all the way around town because we do have some dead end areas and we want to make sure that chlorine gets all the way to the end. We check and do inspections at the well sites, make sure that there's oil in the pumps, that the area is clean, the sample taps are clean, and anything else that needs to be done. We have logbooks on site, and when they find something that needs to be dealt with, they put it in the logbook. We make sure that it gets taken care of right away. We also rebuild chlorine pumps. We monitor the water levels in the tanks. Annually, well, I should say quarterly, we have a valve exercise, excuse me, exercising program so that the valves, when we need to turn them off, work. We do line flushing. We don't have very many dead ends in town, but there are several, and to keep the water from being stagnant in the dead ends, we flush the lines quarterly. We also maintain the sampling stations. We respond to leaks. Customer calls and says, hey, there's water coming out of the sidewalk over here. We go and find out what's going on, address the issue, fix it. We change meters. One of the things with meters is when we had, about 8 years ago, we had all the meters changed on this side of town. The meters that were installed on the east side of town were 20 years old at that point, and the registers are only good for about 20 years. So they've been slowly dying. So as we read, we get 20 or 30 that we have to go out and read manually. Now we're up to a couple hundred. So we intermittently change, we don't have to change the whole meter, but we change the registers, the meter heads, so that we can keep reading and we don't have to go read 1900 meters manually. And we respond to customer requests. We have people, residents will call in and say, my water smells funny, there's odor, or it looks funny. So we always go out and respond to those. 9 out of 10 times it's their hot water heater or their water softener, but we have to respond because we don't know if there's a break in our line until we go out and investigate the problem. Next slide, please. Sewer system overview. Sewer system is made up of a sewer pipe network, a collection system, and 5 lift stations and the wastewater treatment plant. We also have a few force mains that we have to deal with. Those come out of the lift stations on the east side of the highway. But it's important to note that 80% of the flow to our wastewater treatment plant comes from the big 3 in the industrial facility section. So we are preparing an updated sewer ordinance and pre-treatment requirements, which will require more investigations, inspections, etc. Permitting for the wastewater plant is again under the Regional Quality Control Board. They've just recently put us under the new general permit, which we're trying to meet. And we have really good relationships. I would say one of the things that we have managed to do really well is cultivate some really positive relationships with our regulators. Anytime I need anything, I can call them and talk to them. Hey, do I need to do this? What needs to be done here? They're really good. And for instance, with Christina Almost at the Water Board, this last year, she was very helpful. She's been very helpful to us throughout the whole process of designing the new IWRF. So we have really good relationships with them. And the regional board and other regulators require monthly reporting, quarterly reporting, semi-annually reporting, annual reporting. They're overwhelming us with it, but we provide those. And the city has 1 grade 2 wastewater operator, 1 grade 1 operator, and 1 operator in training who should be taking his grade 1 test by July. So we're trying to push operators as a career path because I think it's important. Wastewater testing. So we pull some samples. We pull samples every week from the industrial processors, and we alternate testing those to make sure that what they're giving us doesn't upset our plant. The county comes out every week and they take samples according to our sample plan. And then we take quarterly and semi-annually deposit samples. Pardon me, our sampling schedule has changed with the new permit. We also test for PFAS in our wastewater, and I forgot to mention in our water, we did test last year for PFAS. There was no large amounts. There was almost non-detect microplastics. So we test for hexavaliants and any bad things we put into this earth, we test for them in our water. So we don't have to. The regional board has given us a waiver on PFAS for our drinking water, which is great. But we do still test in our wastewater because we want to make sure that what we're putting back into the ground isn't going to affect our groundwater. And yes, next slide. So operations and maintenance at the treatment plant. So in our daily rounds, the collection system, we check manholes for levels to make sure that we don't have any soon to be overflows. The treatment plant, we do inspections of all the equipment every morning, take samples, DO is a dissolved oxygen reading in the pond. So we go to each pond and take a dissolved oxygen reading. Conductivity, pH. We also have, again, our weekly, quarterly, monthly samples that we take. Maintain the lift stations, including clearing debris and disposable wipes. which is a big problem at some of our lift stations. Once a week, we have to suck out a blanket out of Calbreeze. We do weed control, rodent control. We also do groundwater well monitoring. So quarterly, we have to go out and measure the depth of groundwater, purge 3 times the amount in the tube. And then the next day when it's recharged, we take a sample and those go get tested. Some of the testing for both water and wastewater is like heavy metals, nitrogen, ammonia, total dissolved solids, that kind of thing. So we need those results to keep, for us to understand what's happening in the ponds and to keep it working like it should. And then we also respond to illicit discharges and any overflows, SSOs. So it can get pretty busy. Training. So we have local training. First of all, South Valley Public Works Managers Group. Oops, excuse me. We started that to get our OSHA training initially, and now we do a lot of different training with them. Anytime any of the 4 cities are having training, we'll open it up to the other 4 cities. Monterey Bay Waterworks is an association we belong to. They offer training several times a year. They have a big training at the end of the year. We participate in that. CWEA, Monterey Bay section, that's California Water Environment. We belong to that, and I've been to many of those trainings. Cal Rural Water is some free training. They have paid training, but they also, our circuit rider is really great. If we need anything, he comes down and does it, helps us. We just had a 2-day distribution math training class here in Gonzales, provided at no cost to us, which is fantastic. We also participate in the Tri-State Seminar, and we use the California Sacramento water programs.
Thanks, Tiffany. Let's see. Yeah, I guess one thing I wanted to highlight, and you might have heard a little bit, but the regulations continue to grow. The reporting requirements continue to grow, and it's the burden just continues to increase on staff's limited time, and that's just the way it is. But anyway, definitely that's our presentation. You know, definitely interested in any comments or questions.
Council. I had just one question, and I'm assuming that as an encouragement to the public works employees to get further trained, that as they garner higher and higher licenses, that there's also some kind of a pay merit or pay increase. Okay, great. Because it's small staff like that, you definitely need to encourage them somehow. So I appreciate that you guys are already doing that. All righty. Moving on to the agenda. Business not on the agenda. Any member of the public may address the council for a period not to exceed 3 minutes. Any member may speak on anything not on the agenda. The council will listen to all comments, but will make no comment and take no action. The podium is now available. Okay, thank you. Okay.
Henry Martinez. Brought my medicine bag because I brought extra sweaters. Last time I went to jail, I went without my medical bag and without sweaters. So I sat in there after having some kind of attack at the jail. No clothing, just my t-shirt and shorts, sitting in a cold jail overnight without my meds. So today I was threatened if I walked into this hall, I was going to get arrested. That door was open, which meant it was an open meeting still. I was barred to come in here the night that my son got arrested. I was threatened twice with arrest. Last chief that did that to me, he flipped out for 4 hours and was screaming and yelling at the city hall with the lawyer, with Maria and some other people, and they were telling him, sit down, be quiet. And next thing you know, he retires because he didn't want to face us in court. So now I have a signed paper standing behind me. Trump signed the executive order of free speech. So that means I cannot get interrupted by the city manager. I cannot get interrupted by the lawyer. I can't get interrupted by anybody on the council of my 3 minutes, which means I can speak, say, put my fingers up, if I have to the chief or any police officer. It is free speech. With that document that the president signed, I'm protected. And for years, I was always interrupted, told that I can't do this and I can't say that. The 3 minutes are our given rights to speak and say and do anything. As long as we're not offensive to the character of a person, not the job, not the title, that is open for criticism. And just wanted to make sure that that this year, hopefully that we won't get into that argument where I need to shut up, I need to watch what I'm saying, because curse words is not my thing, but it is legal to say at this council meeting. Putting the finger up to an official is legal, free speech. To walk into this building is my God-given right the government gives me.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Martinez. Thank you. Anyone else? No? All right, seeing no one else rushing to the podium, then I'll go ahead and ask Marisol, is there anyone via Zoom wishing to come?
No comments via Zoom.
Mary, do we have any comments via email?
No comments via email.
Okay, then I'll go ahead and close that session down, bring it back to council. Okay, next on the agenda is the consent agenda. If you've all had an opportunity to review that, I'll either entertain a motion for approval, or if there's items you wish to have pulled, please make your comments now.
Mr. Mayor, I have 3 items on our consent that I'd like clarification. That would be item number 7, item number 10, and item number 11.
Okay, anybody else have anything that they'd like to have pulled?
No.
No? Okay, then I'll go ahead and ask staff to ask the questions and what the clarification is that you'd like on those items.
Thank you. With regards to item number 7, I think this would be directed to Tavin. With regards to the vehicles in the yard, for the abatement report that you gave on item number 7, has the issue been resolved of removing those vehicles from the yards that are parked? I know you mentioned there was high grasses that were taken care of.
Oh,
But-
my statement says present cases involve vehicles and yards. Yeah, just this week, with one of the wine named streets with several violations there, I sent many out to go check. This is only Tuesday now, isn't it? So it might have been the end of last week where we were looking into those. We found one trailer, one of those RVs that was in a legal spot, so to the right of the driveway, off of the sidewalk, and parked as it should. I didn't have her, she didn't tell me if it was wired or plumbed or anything like that and being lived in. But yeah, we had a pretty egregious one with diagonal vehicle in the yard. And so I know my code enforcement officer is engaged with that.
So for the most part, these are still open items for the
Yes.
most part. Okay, I'm okay with that. I just want to make sure that there's some work being done. With regards to item number 10, the police report, I noticed that in November and December, of course, I read all the little details. We had a stolen vehicle in town each of those months. Have those vehicles been recovered? Those are things.
November ones.
I don't know which one we're talking about, but.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Officer Castillo. And then item number 11, Public Works. Can you just remind me what GIS stands for? Because when I
Sure.
see it in my head, I see Gonzalez Irrigation Systems
Of course.
for a local girl.
So
And
it's Geographic Information Systems.
thank you.
So it's our, electronic mapping program. We transitioned to it almost 4 years ago. Away from our city map that was just in AutoCAD. And it crossed my mind, and I don't know if it was over the weekend or thinking about these types of presentations like the water sewer is. It'd probably be timely for me to provide an update to the council or progress regarding our GIS mapping, because there's actually been a fair amount of effort that's gone into it. And a fair amount of mapping that has occurred. So that'll something I'll tee up at an upcoming council meeting. So you can hear all about geographic information systems.
Yeah, it would be helpful going forward that if we have these kinds of acronyms or whatever, tell me what it is beforehand, and then you can use the acronym afterwards. Thank you so much.
Of
I
course.
appreciate it.
Of course.
Yeah, engineer talk.
So actually, if I could build on that question, just in the Public Works activity report, we meant to mention this under our water sewer presentation, but we included the and I never really can say it right, the coliform water quality reports from the county. So that's the first attachment to our activity report, and then that's followed by a copy of the sanitary sewer that the State Water Resource Control Board came out and conducted. So the council will see this type of information in the Public Works activity reports moving forward.
There was a lot of minutia on one of the reports. So
Yes.
oh gosh, I went cross-eyed, but thank you so much for explaining that.
Well, we want to definitely pass on to the council. We're seeing all these reports, so we think probably the council should suffer the same burden as to consider reading them. But again, that's, consider reading them. There will not be a quiz.
Okay, thank you. With that, Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve our consent agenda as presented.
Second,
Excuse me, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving on to our regular agenda item, and I believe it's on staff report on Assembly Bill 413, AB 1413. And I'm assuming that's Mr. Dobbins again.
That's gonna be me.
Oh, it's gonna be you.
Yeah, and it will be short and sweet, but this is just an update on the new bills. There's been a lot of questions, and Mike is on Zoom, and if he wishes to chime in as we go through the very short slideshow I have here. So as you all know, California passed the daylighting bill. If I can go to the next slide, earlier in 2023. But it didn't go into effect in terms of enforcement until January of this year. So we had a year grace period, sort of say. Oh, the slide's not working. The presentation will be over by the time we pull them up because it's really short. This bill was passed in an effort to support improved visibility for pedestrians who are trying to cross the street or walking. Go on to the next slide, please. And it makes it illegal to park within 20 feet of a marked or unmarked crosswalk and within 15 feet of a bulb out, whether it's painted or not. And it's really important for people to understand that because, we have parking issues in town, just like everywhere else, and people tend to park wherever there's a free space. But it's important for the public to understand that whether the curb is painted or not, it's enforceable. And our department will be out there enforcing these issues. It's also important to understand that this is anywhere in the state of California. So when you're traveling or visiting somebody in Merced or Salinas or Monterey, doesn't matter. If you're parking within the 20 feet, you can still get ticketed. So some of our cities who have even less parking than we do, like Monterey, will be greatly affected by this. But we will fill it here. It is an unfunded mandate. And some of you guys were asking me last meeting, was it unfunded? it is unfunded, so cities are struggling to figure out how to make this work. I have reached out to our city managers, other city managers in the region, in Monterey County, and they're all kind of trying their best to implement it. Most understand that they will not be able to paint every curve because of the lack of manpower. So again, because of that, it's really important for the public to understand that even if the curb is not painted, it can still be enforced. And so we did put information out in the utility bills and on social media. And so there's conversation about it going out around town. And I know that there was some news reports on it as well in terms of how other cities are implementing this. Next slide, please. The first bullet point was supposed to be taken out, but we will be enforcing. Initially, it was on a complaint basis and will be on a complaint basis, but we are going to enforce. We know that traffic violations and parking issues are one of the priorities of this council. And so we will be enforcing if we see or identify violators. They will be given a citation. Again, whether it's painted or not, the citation can be issued. And we are keeping it current with the rest of our citations, which is $35 for parking on red currently. So it'll be streamlined for that amount. Again, it's important for the public to understand that every city may have a different amount in the citations. So, you know, if you go park in Monterey, you might get a $65 citation and maybe wondering why it's different here. But currently, it's all different. Every city is adopting its own fee per se. And the other thing that we should know is that out of those $35, we see about $6 out of that citation. So the money is not directly coming to the city. It really is through the traffic court and for all their administrative fees. So it's not going to make us rich. It's not going to add to our pot of money, unfortunately. It's just, again, unmandated with a good purpose, but it has other consequences that we have to deal with. Next slide, please. As you know, we've heard from a lot of folks that they are wanting to volunteer to help paint curbs because we have a lean staff. And if we put our public works folks to paint the curbs, we won't have staff to go do all the water testing and everything else they have to do. So we've had some generous folks come forward and say, hey, we want to help. We're working to establish that program. We are taking names and putting them in contact with Tiffany. We have a waiver we're working on where volunteers will sign the waiver and then we'll be given the supplies to go paint after Public Works lets them know exactly where, what curbs they will paint. And once we establish where in town we really want to focus on as well. Mike, did you want to add anything to that? The volunteer program?
No, other than, you know, we will have an overall plan and we will be providing the volunteers with, you know, direction as to where to do the painting and so forth. We'll bring that back to you folks at a subsequent meeting. I also should note that there are a couple of violations that are by statute set at a much higher rate than that $35 rate. So if you park in a corner and you're blocking a handicap access ramp, that's an automatic $250 fine. I think there's another one. I think, I'm not positive, I'd have to check, but also for parking in an area where that's designated for the stop of a you know, buses and so forth. Those parking in that area also will get you a $250 fine. So those we don't have discretion on, and they've been perceived as being the more serious of the parking violations. But I just wanted to let you know that's the exception to the $35 fee that we will be setting.
So again, currently this is really for information purposes, and so that the public understands that whether or not the curb is painted, they can still receive a citation. But if folks are interested in volunteering, they should contact City Hall, and we'll get them going with the supplies in the areas once we get the waivers and the program set up. The other thing I just wanted to ask for the council for direction. Last year, there was an ask regarding potential permitted parking. And we put it off for a workshop There was a little bit of a debate whether it made sense or not. So we wanted to understand whether it was, the council's, desire to bring an ordinance forward that would provide a program for how to go about that. Not for citywide, because that would not be feasible, but for specific neighborhoods if they were interested. If you recall, looking at, how Salinas has done it and others, there has to be a certain percentage of their neighborhood that is interested and willing to sign on to that. So we just wanted further direction on, is that something we want to continue to explore or put it on pause for now and see kind of where we end up with this daylighting law, just before we bring something forward.
Yeah, I think, like Lorraine said, I mean, I would just leave it up to the residents. If they feel it's something very important for their own neighborhood, then let them pursue it and come to us. I don't think we need to tell them what they need to do. And I also have just one quick question. What is a bulb out?
Our city engineer. I don't know if we have a picture.
All right, so a bulb out is where the curb is extended beyond the curb line. So up here at this intersection, what?
Oh, it's City Hall?
Yes, center, yeah, so
That's a
those are
bulb
bulb
out?
outs, right, where it's kind of, and of course, the point or the reason for that is it's the shorter distance for the pedestrian to cross at that point. So that's where you'll see what more and more bulb outs.
Oh, okay.
It provides
Kind of
more
like over
protection.
here by Luigi's as well.
Yes, yeah, it's this corner out here, bulb outs, correct,
The one right here on Fourth Street.
yes, exactly.
Got it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
And I am glad you put that picture up because, there's residents that have already started. I think you probably know who they are because you've talked to them and issued the paint. They're only painting the top part. They're not painting the bottom. Is there a reason for that?
They're only painting the, what's the term, Patrick?
So the curb
Curb
return where
outs.
the access ramps are.
Okay. So where the access ramps are, so that's the section that they're actually painting.
Correct.
Okay, because I got the picture and I was trying to look at it to understand. Curb.
Correct. We haven't started painting the full curb, but because of that, it already is illegal for folks to park blocking the curb outs.
Access ramp.
Access ramp. They've started to kind of highlight that area,
'Cause
which
this
most
is-
of them are near stop signs, so that folks should not be parking in front of stop sign anyway.
Yeah, see, that's an area, there is an area
know.
over by me, where there's a stop sign to turn and it's right in front of someone's house and my concern is, I mean, I could go over there and it's an area that should be enforced.
That should be painted.
It should be painted, but I hate to do it because, you know, the people that live in that house aren't problems.
So I would suggest that if you have,
Maybe I
because
should talk to-
one of the things that we're gonna do, city staff's gonna do, is identify the areas that are highly trafficked that should be painted. That should be a priority. So if you identify specific areas, please, communicate those to myself or Tiffany or Patrick so that we keep note. So that as folks come forward and say, hey, we're willing to help and we establish the painting program, then they will be, top priority areas for us to cover, because I don't expect that we will get to paint every curb throughout town. But we want to prioritize the ones that really could make a difference. Chief, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I just want to encourage people not to just go out and paint curbs red because they feel like red zone needs to be established or red, no parking area in their neighborhood.
Yeah.
Authorized by the city council resolution. We just recently brought it to you not too long ago. We adopted that, every location in the city, pertaining to red zones, yellow zones, green zones. California Vehicle Code 2252 covers sidewalk access ramps. And it simply states that no person shall park a vehicle within 3 feet of any crosswalk access ramp, directly at or adjacent to any crosswalk or at any other location on a sidewalk. It has to be accessible to and usable by the physically disabled if the area adjoining the ramp is designated by either a sign or red paint. It's 3 feet. So we don't need a 6-foot red zone on both sides of the access ramp because that's confusing well, we can't enforce it because the wall is 3 feet. Or block, so if the car's blocking it, it's a violation. If it's within 3 feet of the access ramp, it's a violation. Red zone would establish, clearly, there's no parking area within that boundary, so. In that area you're referring to, I've already noticed that it's extended 6 feet on one side, 3, 4 feet on the other side. So when anyone parks in that vehicle, it's gonna be problematic for if they challenge the citation that they're once written. If they're not within that 3 feet blocking. So.
Yeah, because there's a ramp right there, right? So that's my question. The ramps aren't getting painted, correct? It's just the curves that are next to the ramps.
Right.
Yeah, that's why.
Somebody's painting a home.
The daylighting is the curves.
Yeah.
What they're doing right now is just the ramp. And again, it's illegal to park in the ramp anyway. They should not be blocking the ADA accessible ramp.
I see.
So it's just highlighting that, but it's the daylighting is the curve, which is gonna reduce a lot more our parking areas.
Yeah.
But that is the law. And so that's what we have to figure out in terms of where and how and what areas get painted.
And the point I'm making, I guess. Is a community member that went out in that particular area and painted curbs on their own. A little hard to do, kindness, whatever. It's gonna be problematic for us to enforce a length of that red zone under this violation. So most likely, public works will have to go back out there, or maybe that person will be kind enough to shorten the red zone somehow. On their own.
Yeah, I guess.
Those things really shouldn't be done unless it's approved by. the council.
Exactly.
Yeah, no self-help when it comes to having the curbs painted red.
Say that again, Michael.
Yeah, we want to be careful that we don't have people involved in self-help in painting the curbs red. You know, we really should be in control of where they're getting painted and who's doing the painting and so forth. That could lead to all sorts of problems, like people painting a green zone in front of their house so that people could only park in front of their house for 24 minutes and those sorts of things. So we really have to be careful about that. That's why the city code specifically says only the city has the authority to paint curbs for various purposes. So.
And that's why that code exists. So we've had people paint the curbs red because they didn't want people parking near or in front of their house. And
Yeah.
Which resolution, the council's approved, they see a red zone, car parking, they write a citation. It's like, then I, as a chief, have to sort through it all and find all the ordinances and resolutions and everything else to determine if it's an actual red zone or not. And we spent several times where, no, it's not. They're out there painting on their own, so I had to avoid the citation. It's just a lot of work for, you know,
Yeah.
it shouldn't have to be like that.
Well, and I think that that's really what, at least the way that I understood this, is we are gonna be told where we can actually paint.
That is correct.
Yeah.
That is correct. So it has to be coordinated through Public Works in the city. So we do appreciate everybody wanting to help, but it needs to be coordinated with Public Works. And again, we'll look at what priority areas are important for us to cover, and that's where we will deploy volunteers.
And then one quick comment or question is, you just said that the code says 3 feet, but this AB 413 says 20 feet. So which is the one that we're
We're talking about two different things here.
Oh.
The daylighting section is 20 feet section at intersections, so crosswalks.
Okay,
The one I referenced by vehicle code is the access point to a sidewalk, the ramp to a sidewalk,
oh, okay,
mostly located typically at the
corners.
of sidewalks. So, those most nowadays are yellow plastic.
That bumpy stuff.
barricaded Platform. Well, we're talking about the red paint is now on the side of those, and it should extend more than 3 feet. For red zones.
Okay, thank you.
That's a really good reminder though, to just remind people that they should not park blocking those, because that's what, one of the issues that we're having in town is that they are parked
Right.
all the way around. So
It's a
that's why there's folks wanting to paint those, because people are parked all the way around the block.
Yeah.
And then some.
Yeah.
Thank
So-
you.
So I guess clarification then. So for the 20 foot, are we gonna be painting those red or a different color?
So yes, they have to be red.
Okay.
If they're gonna be painted, they have to be red, but they will be specific locations.
For sure. Okay.
Throughout town, and again, just more around the high traffic areas, but again, the law is that it can be enforced
Yeah.
either way.
Yep.
So just, that's the thing that people have to take into account, that you shouldn't be parking where there is an intersection, you should leave the 20 feet, because whether it's red or not, it could be enforced.
Yep.
We also need to keep in mind, take into account also that this law may change.
Mhm.
Because of all the pushback and dislike for it, and if we have all these curbs painted red, we have to go back and unred them,
Yeah.
so.
Great. All right, anything else so that I then can open this up to the public?
Oh, no.
Okay, and I'll go ahead and open this item up to the public. Anyone from the public wishing to comment on this item may do so at this time. Well, no see none rush, so I will go ahead and ask Marisol. Marisol, do we have any comments via Zoom?
No comments via Zoom.
Mary, any comments via email?
No comments via email.
Okay, then I'll go ahead and close the public comment period and bring it back to council, and then this is just an informational item, so there's no action needed, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, then we'll go ahead and move on to the GYC. Is anyone here from that? No. Okay, then we'll move on to council committee reports and board reports, and the first one is League of Cities, and that's mine, and I have nothing, have not met. So I'll go ahead and move next to MBED.
Our meeting was canceled. A lot of new council members and so forth. There would need to be assigned. So.
Okay, great. MST.
I kind of shared some things with you guys last week because we had our meeting the same day as our last council meeting. But I will bring up a couple of things of points of interest, and that is contactless fare payments. They're really trying to go that direction where we're only using cards or specific cards. And one of the things brought up was, and I was a good example of that, is I had cash and he couldn't take cash that day. And he couldn't take, or no, I had a card and he didn't have the machine working. So the issue that was brought up was some people are used to using cash. You know, kids use cash sometimes because they make the decision at the last minute that they want to take the bus and it's $2 or whatever. And they really are looking to go contactless. That is the direction that MST wants to go. So there were many residents who did public comments at our meeting that day that brought that to our attention, saying, you know, there are many people that will continue to use cash and will want to use cash. So that's an issue that we're going to be discussing. And I kind of agree with the idea that some people want to use cash. But that's what they're trying to do, is they're trying to eliminate cash in any way possible that they can come up with. So that's one of the issues discussed. We also had our four-year strategic plan. So we did have a workshop that day that we talked about the future of MST. And as you all know, we just got a $21 million federal trade money from the feds for the surf project. So that's a big thing that just happened. And then the last one that I wanted to bring up is we are implementing, which MST has never done before, a code of conduct policy, which I thought was interesting. So that was something that I just wanted to share with all of you. And our next meeting is on February 10th. Thank you.
All righty, moving on to oral communications. Ms. Onosko, would you be so kind to start on your end?
Thank you. I don't have anything in particular, but I would like to see if we, through the mayor, if we could bring back a report on any changes to free speech that could be sort of an open door to folks coming and being disrespectful and disruptive. So I'm just curious to see if we can have something that can tell us if there's any changes to any.
Through the chair. Yeah, I'll be happy to report back to you. The president was very busy yesterday, as you're probably all aware, and signed a number of executive orders. The only executive order that I am aware of that he issued with regard to free speech pertains only to federal agencies and federal meetings, federal monies and so forth and so on. It was primarily aimed at restricting the ability of a variety of different forums like Twitter and Facebook and those folks from censoring or in any way encumbering free speech and so forth. But it has, as far as I know, nothing to do with the subject matter that was referenced by our speaker this evening in terms of granting a full 3 minutes of an uninterrupted speech and addressing issues of using profanity or anything along those lines. As far as I know, those remain unchanged, and what we have in place is still in place.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. That's it.
Anything else?
That's
Ms.
it for
Orozco?
me. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Funk,
Nothing this evening. Thank you.
okay. Ms. Silva.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have a couple of things. I don't know if all of you've noticed some of the enhancements on Fifth Street, the little bicycle rider painted on the street and I guess it would be the lane that's got green and white lines. And I'm assuming that that's part of the Safe Routes to School enhancements that have come into the city. I noticed it right by the park today, right between Center and Day Street on Fifth Street, and is right by the MST, where the MST bus comes in and out. So I didn't know if that was I just noticed it over the last week or so. And I wasn't sure if that was part of the Safe Routes to School. So I just wanted to kind of mention that. And then the other thing is I have it on pretty good authority that the renovation of the Dick Force Stadium is going to be complete, hopefully by the first part of April, so that it'll be utilized starting shortly thereafter. So I'm real excited to know that football will be back this fall. And track and field though is probably April, May. So I don't know if that'll happen, but it'll, if you haven't gone by, go by to see the progress. So, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Worthy.
I don't really have anything except for something to dovetail off of what Ms. Silva said about the RVs that are in the driveway, and you talked about the wine. There's that one RV that is on the right-hand side. Is that legal? Okay, so if you're looking at the house, it's not in the driveway, it's on the right-hand side of the house.
Our ordinance, you can have, the driveway can lead to 2 covered parking spaces like a garage, and if you need a third space. Driveway width total of 26 feet. And so if someone is parked there, they're not blocking the required parking inside, and that's where boats and things are. Things need to be movable and operational, not just, on blocks.
No, I mean, maybe you clarified it. So hypothetically, every single person who lives in a house can have a mobile home on the right-hand side of their house. And on the left side is where the driveway is. That's what I'm asking. Does that make sense?
The driveway width extension doesn't go in front of towards the front door side, but on the other side
No.
are.
Okay, I get what you're saying. Are you guys, am I making myself clear?
You're saying parking
On the opposite side,
and then using the other side as parking too.
the opposite side of the house.
So instead of having just garage driveway.
You know
having
what?
that on the other side.
Yeah, on the grass.
On the grass.
So it's on the grass.
No, you need to have a paved surface,
Right.
paved surface.
This is that same one that I've been talking to you
It's
about.
unpaved on the one.
Unpaved, yeah, but it's
On the lawn.
It's on the
Ah,
lawn
alright.
and it's on the right-hand side.
I will accompany my code enforcement officer and look at it.
Yeah, I
in person.
apologize, but it's the same one that has been like this for months.
No, when I said
Yeah.
driveways, because we're expecting improved surfaces, not parking on lawns and grasses.
Right, okay, but let's just say hypothetically, they decide to put pavement in there. You don't have the ramp like you do with your car because of the driveway, you know how the ramp goes down. I'm really bad at this stuff. You guys can tell. Yeah, I'm not about what the correct terms are for everything. But you know how when you pull your car out of your driveway, it's flat. Yeah, it's a ramp. On the other side, there is no ramp there. You have to go off the curb. So that to me should not be legal in any shape or form, even if they do put pavement there. Am I wrong?
No.
I'd have to think about it
Okay,
case by
guess what,
case.
Tavin, you and I are gonna go take a walk
Yeah, that's-
tomorrow and I'll show it to you.
That would be great. We can look at some of the daylighting too.
Yeah, I mean, it's just something that it's been there, you know, and it's on a major street and and they always have trailers parked in front, same trailers that seem like they never move.
I was just gonna say, it's probably.
Do you know which one I'm talking about?
Chased off the roadway.
Could be.
So,
Yeah, because you guys are green tagged it.
Yeah.
So I know that it's,
So,
yes. So to me, it's almost like these people are just kind of looking at us and laughing because they're not doing anything.
But also, I'm not sure that we would want to have encroachment permits and curb cuts and those things extended for something that might only move twice. You know, only a few times in the year. It's not a. But I get your point. We'll
And I think the issue is more that people are putting RVs where they're not supposed to be and they're not being cited. It has nothing to do with making the driveway wider or paving it a little bit more. I think it just, there's rules that we have. And probably because of our limited staffing, you know, those aren't the most important things, but they are important to some of the neighbors.
But vehicles or trailers need to be parked on improved surfaces, not yards.
But even at that, the front lawn area, the front yard of your home is really not supposed to be paved over just so you could put a trailer on it. Is that correct?
I would think so, yes.
Okay, and I think that's kind of one of the points that we have made because last summer or maybe time goes by, but we did take a walk about town, Lorraine and I, and we identified a lot of different properties that had vehicles, SUVs, boats, trailers that were just an eyesore within the neighborhood because they weren't.
Can I suggest something? That maybe since you two have already done that, that maybe you go along with Tavin and the code enforcement officer and take a ride around town and pinpoint those specific areas or concerns that you have. And then they can either determine that, yes, that is a violation, we'll get the letter to them. Because obviously the chiefs cited some, but
Sure.
they seem to just.
But then they come back. But then they come back.
They come back. You have taken care of the one that was around the corner that had the tent over it and all that. That one was taken care of. But this particular one I identified at the same time as that one. And it's still.
And unfortunately, I think that is the issue. I mean, I hear from staff all the time. We do code them, we do send letters out, and then like Chief said, they just move it or they, move it for a few days and then bring it back. And so we are kind of chasing them around without there being another place for them to park down in town. They're just moving it around. So we will continue to enforce, we'll continue to put citations on the windows. And then I think that's the one that I spoke to you about last week, Tavin. So, we'll continue to kind of follow up on them. I know some just pay their citation and then just go about doing it again, unfortunately. So maybe we need to increase the citation. Maybe that's something we need to look at.
And if I could, much of our zoning code has got 50 years on it and people thoughts have matured and what they see in their community after living those 50 years that, hey, we don't want that. We need to readdress that. And if you remember the irony, we learned about Marina just a couple of months ago, where their ordinance says, if you're gonna have a boat, you need to park behind your fence. And they were cited by the code enforcement officer. Then you had a neighbor come over and paint a boat on his fence. And it looked like the same boat, and it was the same, and it was perfectly legal because he met the code. So we can, as we drive and spot these things, we might want to look, how do we want to have the finished look on here, and what's the capacity for people to park their vehicles elsewhere and those things. So I'd be glad to engage with that, because it's, you know, I understand, it's quality of life. It's what you walk out of your house, you walk down the street, what do you see? And how is your streetscape? So it's an important thing. It really is.
Well, I find it, I just think it's really unfair for people who, I mean, the house next to them is just beautiful. I mean, how can, and the one on the other side is too, they maintain it. And it just, to me, you know, there's not a whole lot we can do, I'm sure, about certain
And
things,
I
but
think
in
also-
that case, I think we should be able to do something.
I think what I'm feeling also is we're bracing right now because we realize we're gonna enforce a reduced curb length for
Yeah.
vehicles on the street. So the problem's gonna get worse before it gets better.
Anything else, Ms. Worthy? Okay. I just had a couple quick items. Mr. Dobbins, I wish to apologize to you, sir. Last meeting, you commented about your years of service. And my wife says, because she was in the audience, she says, you were really rude to him. And if I was rude to you, I apologize, sir. I didn't mean to demean the years of service you've had because I jumped right into Liz's birthday. So if that was offensive to you, I apologize. I wasn't meant that way. I guess I was just thinking of all the other things I wanted to get done and get out. And I'm really bad that way. And my wife will tell you that, you know, I'm sometimes not very patient and I need to learn to be. That's probably why I have what I have. If I'd been a little more patient, put on my safety glasses, I might still have one eye. The other one, I don't know. That's a different story. But I wanted to publicly apologize to you.
Not at all. It didn't cross my mind. It's all good, Mayor Rios.
Okay, like I said, I just, excuse my
Not at all.
wanting to get out of here. The other thing is, and since I saw that in the consent agenda, we had passed the safe routes to school plan. I still see a number of vehicles and my only mode of transportation is the Shoelace Express. So I do a lot of walking around the community when I can, and I still see a lot of cars that are literally blocking driveways. And for me, you know, I hit it with my stick. And I hope the people that are there watching see it and maybe feel a little shame, and I walk around it. I'm okay. But what I'm worried about is the kids. There's a number of vehicles that I see that, I mean, I'm looking down the street, not that I can see, but as I walk down, there's this huge white van that's always blocking all the way out to the driveway. And I was told he was spoken to, but I think speaking is over with. I think he needs to be ticketed. Because that's a direct route for those kids coming to school, and he continues to do the same shenanigans.
Yeah, let's speed and tighten down the exact location that you are experiencing those, because I've addressed it. I go out to it, I look around, I'm not seeing it.
I'll tell you what, definitely on weekends, he's always parking it there, so. But that's just one. There's several other locations, and I'm not gonna get into each and every one of those. The one curb that personally I like to see painted to 20 feet is the one here on the corner of Third and Belden. Because they're parked at an angle like this. I actually will take my grandkids all the way or make one block detour, come up 4th Street. And then walk across the laundromat rather than across 3rd Street at Belden, coming up 3rd Street, because the vehicles are parked so far out that you kind of keep walking out. And luckily, I don't, like I said, when it's with the grandkids, I always walk down 4th Street and they're always telling me, Grandpa, this is a long way around this. I know, but it's a safe way around. Okay, it's a safe way around, my lovelies. You guys want ice cream? Be patient. We'll get there. Okay, Grandpa. I said, besides, it's gonna make you hungry. You need another scoop. So anyway, if we could please take a look at that one. Like I said, the cars are parked at an angle, which is, you know, allowing for more parking, but the same token on that particular corner, they have to stop at 4th and Belden. So I don't get the mentality of people. As soon as they cross 4th Street, then they're like down to the next stop, which is 1st and Belden, right? You see them, Liz, they just fly down there. So at that particular corner, I personally have, again, learning patience. I learned to walk an extra block over, come up 4th Street, and those seem to be, because of the bulb box, a lot safer to finally get over to Pacheco's. I don't eat it, but it's one of my greatest joys is to watch those little people say, I like this, Grandpa. Can you bring me tomorrow again? No. Grandma won't let me. But anyway, if we look at that one corner, I'd appreciate it. City managers report.
I only have one item to share today, and it really is just to make sure that you have February 22nd on the calendar. The council will be having a strategic planning session to discuss the upcoming year's budget. So make sure you have that calendared in from 9 to 12. And it'll be at the police department conference room.
Okay. Anyone else that needs to?
So just quickly, Mayor Rios, council members, just want to mention that we are out to bid with the industrial wastewater treatment facility. We're opening bids on February 26th for that project. Our cost estimates between 19.5 million and $20 million. So and we have a number of contractors interested, and they've pulled the construction documents and are looking at it. So just another major milestone in expanding the city's wastewater capacity.
Must be. Mr. Dobbins, that part of the construction, is that a 1 year or 2 year build out?
It's approximately 2 years.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
We hope to be in front of you. I think it's the second meeting in March for award of contract.
Great. Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, real quick, just to answer your question, regarding the stolen vehicles, yeah, we confirmed there's the November one was recovered, December one is still outstanding. And then we have another stolen in January. So,
Ooh.
yeah. Seems to be the trend from those things happen. As far as the last meeting, we talked a little about the problematic bicyclists in town. I'm happy to announce that I think it was just last night. One was actually arrested. Officers responded to reported a reckless bicycle in the area of Fifth Street, 101.
Oh, yeah.
They made contact and took care of the riding condition, but also made an arrest for a different reason. So hopefully message will get out, and anyone that sees these reckless bicyclists, call in please at the time they're seen. As we all know, they're not going to do it from the police car and from the officers. They'll do it when we're not in the area. But it's very helpful when it's happening for us to be notified, not the next day, to reporting we're not there, we can't look at it. So something like that we'll need to see on view to enforce, unless somebody wants to go forward and, testify and go to court, and that's a challenge if need be. So just wanted to give you an update on that. There's been other enforcement of bicycles as recent, as of the last meeting, actually, because I addressed with the officers and they listened to me. They're on as it relates to that. So just wanted to provide that update.
Thank you.
I have one more thing. I just remembered. I was on my list to share. This Friday, we actually have Ivan Correa, who's going to be graduating from the academy. He was our community services officer for a while, and we put him through the academy to get him prepared to come back as an official officer. So he graduates, and he will be. Has he signed the letter already?
He did.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so Friday's graduation, it'll be 11 o'clock, Highway 68, the Shoreline Church. It's open to the public for anyone who wants to attend. I'll be there, and Sue Danner's there to attend with me, and some of the officers. He'll graduate Friday, he'll start work Monday. Field training program we just extended the program for training needs. It'll be 15 weeks of training, field training, and hopefully he will go solo after that. So we're excited to have him on.
Great. Thank you. Well, if there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. We stand adjourned. Bye.